You know, crazy enough, as soon as I was about to start pressing record, right, one of the, I guess, head coaches at El Camino College referred back to me, started getting in the loop with that, and I guess I'll just catch you guys up, you know, with what today has been. I sent out some budgets and, you know, some proposals and stuff like that. This former football player, his name is Eric Kramer, and, you know, he needed a budget, in other words, for some equipment and stuff like that. I worked all that stuff out, sent that to him. I edited some pictures. I posted some content on my Instagram. Man, I've just been clearing up things that I should have been doing before. You know, I reached out to one of the clients that, you know, I was supposed to kind of get back to, but I was just getting lost up in life. Reached out back to him and just waiting on a reply to see if that's going to close or not. And yeah, I'm talking to this head coach now the goal for this channel and a lot of my content is I'm going to take pictures of actual basketball games, football games, and other things around that area. So talking to these coaches and getting involved with the athletes and the coaches just in general, right, is amazing. You know, it's a blessing. I'm a very athletic person, so I just felt like that was ultra aligned to me and my vision and my goals and just everything else, you know, just life in general. I'm very athletic. But yeah, like I was saying, I was kind of hesitant to actually, you know, get on camera, talk about my goals, talk about, you know, the spaces that I'm in, what I'm doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Because a part of me believed that negative energy and envy and jealousy and all that type of stuff could throw off my blessings, right? So I was very silent, you know. But then I realized it was kind of counterproductive, especially when I'm building a brand and I'm here to help you guys. So part of me helping you guys is being transparent that, like, hey, not everything's fucked up, you know. There is bad things going on. I had to cut a lot of people off, right? Just realizing that they probably weren't the best for my journey and, you know, it just is what it is, you feel me? And I had to work through that. And while yes, there is a lot of grief, or I probably wouldn't even say a lot of grief, there's a decent amount of grief, right? Because I'm having to rewire the way that I view things and I view situations and I view people. There is a lot of good going on, you feel me? And it's a blessing to be in that type of space and to be in that type of energy. You know, all my bills are paid, etc. You know, I'm pretty sure I made a video probably at the beginning of this month talking about how I didn't have enough money to pay my bills. Then I ended up getting enough money to pay last month's bills, this month's bills, and another month's bills. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You know, it's crazy. I actually started embodying the film aspect of my career and my passions a lot more recently, right? So I'm a director. Even though I take photography, I edit and all that type of stuff, my mind is wired to be a director. So that's essentially what I got into. So I started writing scripts, I started planning stuff out, and recently I've came to the epiphany, I've been living what I've wanted. I'm a director. I've been directing, I've been getting paid for it. You know, I'm putting in budgets, I'm sending out invoices, like I'm directing my own life, and I feel like that's a very key aspect. Before you can direct anything, before you can be a director of anything, you have to figure out how to direct your own life, how to put your own life in order. You know, taking action feels a lot better than fear. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, when you're being all scary and hesitant about the things that you want and your actions, just whatever the case may be, it just throws you off so much. Once you start getting to a point where you're just like, I don't care, like, I genuinely don't care what happens, almost like an I don't give a F type of attitude, things become so much more peaceful, because what? You don't care. Now, I'm not saying like you just go about life not caring about anything and just neglecting people and just throwing negative energy everywhere, but certain things in your energy, certain things in your life rather, just don't deserve your energy, point blank, period. You know, there's no cute way to put it, it's no amazing, wise way to put it. When people are draining you, if people are, you know, it's not beneficial to the overall picture, get them loose. And don't feel sorry about it. You know, I'm also noticing that there's a lot of people out here right now trying to use social media as a way to grow their audience, grow their presence, as, you know, in other words, a personal brand tool. And even though I've just now started building my own personal presence and my own personal brand, I've been behind the scenes building other people's personal brands and other brands just in general for quite a second now. And there's some things that I've noticed amongst these creators and these brands that if a lot of you guys do and implement, they'll benefit you. The very first one is you got to be yourself, right? That's just first and foremost. Whatever you're interested in, whatever you do, however you talk, however you look, you have to truly have a decent amount of confidence just not to get thrown off in this space. Now, the second most important thing that I'm seeing that a lot of people aren't like really doing, and I think it's because a lot of people are scared to do this, right? It takes a decent amount of confidence and like everything else, a lot of self-assurance to actually get on camera and talk. A lot of you guys are making content behind the scenes, showing your outfit, showing views, interviews, doing a lot of different things, right? But you're not actually talking on the camera. You know, crazy enough, your personality is probably the only thing that's separating you from the millions of other people wearing the exact same piece of clothing that you're wearing. So why not use it? You know, this space is dominated by authenticity. It's like the more you try to plan, you might actually like set yourself back a little bit because it gets in the way of your natural flow. Certain days you're going to want to talk about certain things. Certain days you're not going to want to talk about certain things. But if you put yourself into a box of this is the only thing I can talk about, this is the only thing I do, this is what I'm known for, blah, 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 you're going to block off certain avenues of yourself that would probably catapult you to other avenues in your content creation. So just learning how to just be yourself, do what you do and talk about it, explain it, engage in conversations, engage with other people, you know, collaborate with other creators. That is a very big thing too. Yes, your own content could go viral on it by itself, whatever the case may be, but when you have another person's pull, you're just cross-networking, that is very powerful. However, when you're networking with people, you need to network with people who are already doing the thing that you're trying to like intertwine with. Like you need to find, like if you're on step 6, find other people on step 6, right? Don't go find somebody on step 1 and try networking with the person on step 1. They need to put in a little bit of work for them to even understand what they're capable of bringing to the table. You right? So you need to figure out who can you network with on your level or above so you continue going up. Now that's not saying you cut off networks and you stop talking to people that's on level 5, level 4, but you got to let them have enough space to actually learn those things that they need to learn. Now if you can tell them certain things that would help them elevate, of course you do that, right? But God has a very weird way of putting people in their own path to learn their own set of lessons, and it's up to that person to actually learn it before they get the access to the next level. And you can't rush that process. You can't force that process. So network with people who, you know, it actually makes sense. You know, I've recently been networking with actors, you know, different editors, different people in the digital marketers, you know, just networking with people who I could plug into my production, plug into my vision at any given time, right? Then it's just a very amazing way to view about it, you know, to go about things, you know. Now, granted, I did have to cut off some people where it's like, what you're doing is, there's no direction. So there's no reason for me to be investing and networking in this when it's just not mutually beneficial. You know, you have to find people who are focused, who are disciplined, who are really see something for themselves and whatever that does. That could literally be plumbing, engineering, whatever the case may be. If they're a plumber, make sure that they're like trying to actively be a good plumber. And if you surround yourself around a whole bunch of great plumbers, it's no way in hell you're not going to be a great plumber. But if you surround yourself around a plumber who doesn't really want to be a plumber, he just needed the job, so he's doing the bare minimum, so just so he can get enough money, just so he can go back and go do what he really wants to do, you're not going to get the most out of that interaction because that's not what they're invested in. You have to find people with similar priorities. Now, I guess that's just like a blanket statement way of saying what I needed to say. And being able to find peace and solitude is like crazy, 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 crazy important. Because I noticed the more you try to pull people into your space with the hopes of them filling voids, all they do is make that void deeper. They make that void louder. You know, when you try to fill a void with something that's not the actual healing or bondage of that void, what you're going to do is just make it where that void feels even more just tension. It's like being hungry and deciding to not go eat food and just go eat 2 pounds of hot Cheetos. Your stomach isn't going to feel better just because you decided to eat something. You ate hot Cheetos. You need to go eat actual food, and that's what was going to help your stomach, not just the fact that you decided to put something in your mouth. And that's what a lot of people do with our emotions, our voids, our feelings. We think we can just plug and play things into and just play Monopoly with shit when that's not true. When there's voids, you need to pay attention to it. Figure out, what do I need to do to fill this part of me to where I don't need an outside entity or an outside energy to do it for me. That's where true places of liberation come from. That's where true levels of self-confidence, self-esteem, etc. Because honestly speaking, self-confidence, self-esteem, it's just all of that. It just comes from you knowing yourself. The more you know yourself, the more confident you're going to be, because it's like, okay, well, I kind of knew I was like that in the first place. So what are you going to do about it? You know, well, I want to do this. This is what I'm going to do. It's just confidence. It's like just knowing yourself, just the process of knowing who you are, and just a little bit. I'm not asking you guys because a lot of people never know themselves completely. This is a lifelong journey, but just the putting out the intention. Who am I? What do I really care about? What do I like? And being okay with it. You will find so much peace and harmony, right? Because you'll move forward. A lot of people don't move forward in life off that soul thing that they don't know themselves. If you don't know yourself, you're not going to be confident enough to put it in action. And if you never put what's true to you in action, the chances of you actually becoming the person that you're meant to be, it's very small. I think that's enough yapping for today. I'm done talking. I love y'all. I'm about to get into this little yoga session. I really hope my camera was in focus, you guys. There was kids and stuff running behind the camera for a lot of this. So, yeah. But you know, if it wasn't, it's okay. It's still blessings. It's still love. I love you guys. And yeah, we're about to relax for a second. We're about to get this workout in, vibe out for the rest of tonight. I may continue doing some work, may post some stuff. I definitely have to edit this now that I recorded it. But yeah. Life never stops. I love y'all, man. Be safe.